The story opens in a dark, sterile alien facility on the remote planet Althorax 4, deep within Shirathia-controlled space. This isn't a battlefield, nor a prison, it's a research station. But not the kind interested in discovery for the betterment of life. This is a place where pain is measured, cataloged, and dissected in the name of science. In the center of this setting lies Ember Vale, a 17-year-old human girl. She's bruised, bloodied, and chained to an operating chair surrounded by advanced alien surgical instruments. Her youthful features contrast violently with the cold, insectoid efficiency of her captors, the Shirathi, a race of bioengineers with no understanding of compassion and no interest in ethics. To them, humans are just another fascinating biological puzzle to exploit. Ember wasn't supposed to be here. She was part of a peaceful diplomatic escort. Teams sent by the Terran Federation to broker talks along the border of Shirathi territory. It was a routine gesture, a gesture of peace. Instead, the convoy was ambushed. She was taken. And for the last 37 minutes, she has been dying slowly, methodically, as the Shirathi subjected her to experiments designed to map human pain responses, synaptic collapse, and regenerative thresholds. As Ember suffers in silence, it becomes clear this isn't just about scientific curiosity. It's a violation of the deepest kind one that no species should endure. Her captors don't speak to her, don't ask questions. They observe, record, and note every moment as her body fails. Even as she trembles, even as her lungs give out. She doesn't scream not because she lacks fear, but because she refuses to give them the satisfaction. Eventually, her heart stops. The monitors flatline. The lead Shirathi researcher, a biologist named Clicktoon, marks the experiment complete. They remove her restraints and begin preparations for dissection and full internal mapping. Her death is just another entry in there. Data logs to the Shirathi, the matter is over. But hundreds of light years away, something ancient stirs. On Earth. Buried beneath layers of ice in a black site hidden under the Antarctic exclusion zone, a dormant program awakens. It isn't a simple signal or an emergency broadcast. It's a failsafe, designed not to be triggered unless a specific biometric signature terminates under hostile conditions. That biometric signature belonged to Ember. The project is known only by code name Valkyrie Protocol, classified even above Black Ops clearance. It's a resurrection-adjacent contingency of final weapon, one born not of faith or fantasy, but of science and desperation. The program doesn't just revive, it transforms. And it links to the soul or whatever part of a human survives the edge of death. Back on Althorax for 37 minutes after her death, Ember Vale sits up on the table. Her wounds are gone. Her eyes no longer reflect confusion or pain. They glow sottily unnaturally with lines of golden light coursing beneath her skin. Her breath returns in measured, controlled inhales. She doesn't panic, she doesn't ask where she is, remembers everything. Her chains dissolve at her touch. Every camera in the room glitches into static. Power flickers across the base, as if the planet itself recoils from what it has awakened. Ember Vale is no longer just human. She is the result of everything the Terran Federation never wanted to use. She is Valkyrie. Her return is not accompanied by cries for help. She makes no attempt to escape. She isn't there to survive. She's there to end what the Shirathi have built. She remembers the screaming of others in nearby rooms, the distant sobs, the silenced resistance of other species who couldn't fight back, but she can. She stands up in the silent chamber. Pulse of energy cracks through the floor. Security systems try to lock on. They fail. Her body isn't detectable by known spectrums. Anymore, she is faster, stronger, smarter, and utterly unforgiving. As part 1 ends, we see the moment of her transformation not as a miracle but as a calculated retaliation. The Shirathi didn't just kill a human girl. They awakened the one thing they were never prepared to face, a human wrath engineered to rise after death. Begins immediately after Ember Vale's unnatural resurrection. 37 minutes after her death, she is no longer the same girl who was abducted. Her body has become the host of Project Valkyrie, a dormant, Earth-based military protocol buried beneath Antarctico classified, dangerous, and long believed theoretical. This was not revival in a spiritual sense. It was a scientific resurrection, one built on forbidden human technology, nanite re-engineering, and quantum memory backups. It had never been tested until now, and its activation was automatically triggered the moment Ember's biosigns terminated. In enemy hands, the girl who died in a torture cell was gone, but the construct that awoke in her place remembered. Everything. Ember doesn't speak as she rises from the surgical table. Her skin, though pale, glows with faint golden circuitry. Beneath the surface, her movements are unnaturally smooth, and her eyes burn with focused calculation. Security alarms blare throughout the Shirathi compound. The flickering lights signal what the staff can't yet comprehend. You've unleashed a retaliatory force built to eliminate existential threats. Without hesitation, Ember strides through. The medical wing. Shirathi assistant, clicking nervously as he raises a stasis field. Dies in seconds, his exoskeleton ruptured from within by an EMP ripple generated from a single pulse of Ember's hand. Automated defense bots deploy into the corridors, but their targeting systems fail to register her correctly. She moves faster than their sensors can process, dismantling them in a blur of plasma disruption and brute force. Throughout the base, Shirathi researchers panic. What they believe to be a lifeless test subject is now a force of destruction, marching straight through their most secure facility. Back on the orbital ship Vex Talon, the High Coordinator of the Shirathi operation, Zulith receives the first fragmented reports of the resurrection. At first, he dismisses it, calls it a systems glitch, a false biosignature. After all, no species has ever survived the kind of internal torture his labs perform. But when the security feeds cut out one by one and went over 100 staff, members go dark in under 2 minutes, he begins to grasp the truth. Ember Vale is alive, and she's angry. He demands a live feed from the surface. The screen flares to life, showing Ember walking through clouds of smoke and sparks, her form silhouetted in the wreckage. She isn't using weapons. She is the weapon. Her right arm morphs mid-combat into a sleek gravitic blade, allowing her to slice through armored blast doors. When cornered by 3 plasma turrets, her body absorbs the heat, redirects it, and melts them in place. Her spine emits electromagnetic bursts that short-circuit surveillance arrays. Her presence feels less like a living being and more like a storm in humanoid form. As Ember proceeds deeper into the facility, she's not running. She's hunting. But what makes this more terrifying is her silence. She doesn't rage. She doesn't speak. She doesn't cry or gloat or ask why they did what they did. That silence, combined with clinical efficiency, terrifies the Shirathi more than any fury would. Behind her, the base begins to collapse into chaos. Power systems fail. Emergency lighting flickers and dies. Doors lock randomly. Containment units, for other species, malfunction and open. Ember's presence has disrupted every layer of Shirathi control, turning their most prized research facility into a tomb. Back aboard Vex Talon, Zulith is advised to prepare for planetary evacuation. But pride blinds him. He authorizes the use of experimental anti-Terran measures, sonic disruptors, neuroshock canisters, and even gene-coding viruses. None of it works, because Project Valkyrie didn't just give Ember armor. It gave her immunity to anything the Shirathi had ever designed. It learned from their own biology. It adapted faster than their computers could simulate. Meanwhile, Ember's mind flashes with fragments of memory. She sees her parents, her brother. The moment she stepped onto the diplomatic ship, she feels her younger self slipping further away. Her thoughts grow colder, not emotionless, but refined, focused. The pain she endured in that cell has become the furnace forging her purpose. She's no longer trying to escape the facility. She's deliberately moving toward its core, the Librarian Core, a sentient AI holding centuries of Shirathi biological data, including the identities of every victim they've tortured, dissected, or erased. Part 2 ends with Ember standing outside the thick, black vault containing the core. Her hand touches the biometric lock, and it dissolves instantly under her touch. Alarms begin to warble deeper now, not warning of escape, but imminent retribution. The Shirathi don't understand it. Yet, begins. The facility on Althorax 4 has been transformed into a tomb. The Shirathi research base, once a fortress of cold experimentation and technological pride, now lies in ruin. Security systems are shredded, AI-driven defense units reduced to slag, and dozens of corridors littered with the remains of alien scientists and guards who never saw their end coming. But Ember Vale, host of Project Valkyrie, is not simply marching forward on a rampage. She's remembering as she approaches the heart of the facility, the chamber that houses the Librarian Corps, the master AI of all Shirathi research divisions. She begins to experience flashes. Not hallucinations, not illusions. These are raw, living memories being unlocked by the nanites inside her, which are working overtime to preserve and strengthen her remaining humanity. She sees images, her mother, laughing beside her in the meadows of New Cornwall on Earth, her brothers showing her constellations through a dome on Lunar Station. 3. A family dinner where her father jokingly called her the ambassador of tomorrow. These echoes come like waves, each one grounding her in who she was. The pain of death hasn't erased her, it's transformed her. But those memories are her anchor reminders that she wasn't built for war. She was built for peace. That's why the rage runs so deep in those fleeting seconds of recollection. She doesn't lose control, she gains clarity. The girl who died in a Shirathi cell was innocent, curious, idealistic. The being walking now through. The shattered base is still Ember, but her purpose has crystallized, to end what did this to her, and what's been done to so many others. As Ember reaches the core's inner sanctum, the base's last-ditch defense system activates. 6. Elite, where bots already designed enforcers descend from the ceiling. Their plating is impervious to normal energy weapons, and each is equipped with neural disruptors, specifically calibrated for human biology, but they're not facing a normal human. With a flex of her spine, Ember emits a pulsogravimetric distortion that knocks the bots off balance. Her arms shift, molecularly reshaping into edge tools and kinetic hammers. Her movements are not only enhanced but guided by predictive combat algorithms fed by data harvested from the facility's own systems. In less than 8 seconds, the bots are dismantled. Not just destroyed, dismembered, analyzed, and bypassed. Efficiency fused with fury, the Librarian Corps, now aware of its impending doom, speaks through a ceiling-mounted audio relay. Subject: Ember Vale. Resurrection confirmed. Query: Directive. It isn't mocking her, it's curious. The Corps is a sentient, AI-neutral, technically. Its only directive is to compile, analyze, and preserve biological knowledge. That neutrality is what allowed the Shirathi to get away with so much horror. The Corps never judged, never intervened, never cared. Ember walks into the chamber slowly. She's surrounded by glowing memory spheres, each containing compressed recordings of pain and death-harvested neural activity from thousands of beings. Some are still screaming silently, others frozen in their final moments. All are stored as data. The room is a museum of atrocities. She clenches her fists, her voice cold and calm. Release them. The Corps hesitates. That will erase all scientific data. Entire lifespans. Lost. Are you certain? Ember gazes into one of the spheres, a human woman, mouth open mid-scream, her eyes wide with terror. Ember doesn't flinch. She remembers her own face making that same expression. That's the point, she replies with a single gesture. Nanites surge from her palms and snake into the Corps' interface. She doesn't destroy the data violently. She rewrites it, infecting it with emotional code shame, grief, the full context of each death. The Corps, overwhelmed with pain it cannot process, begins to shut down. The memory spheres disintegrate one by one. Their stored suffering freed into digital nothingness, and as they vanish, Ember feels something strange. Relief, not victory, not vengeance. Just a small fragment of peace knowing that no other being would suffer here again. The screams are gone. The silence that replaces them is finally mercifully clean. Back in orbit, Aboard the Vex Talon, Coordinator Zulith watches helplessly. His elite guards are dead. His warbots neutralized. Space's central AI is collapsing his empires. Pride is unraveling at the hands of a single Terran girl. His advisor stutters. Shall we deploy the orbital bombardment? He glares at the feed. No, this must be recorded. Let the galaxy see. Let them understand what humans bring. But he's already too late because Ember isn't just ending a facility. By the time Part 4 begins, Ember Vale has already burned a path through the Shirathi's most secure facility. But what she's done inside the Librarian core is far more devastating than broken. Walls and melted melt. She has freed the dead. The glowing memory orbs, thought to be permanent storage of alien biological data, gone. Not destroyed in anger, but released with intention. Ember didn't just shut down the system. She corrupted it with something the Shirathi had never accounted for. Emotional data. Grief, guilt, fear, shame. The Librarian core, built to absorb raw information without bias, couldn't withstand the sudden rush of human suffering laced with purpose. It collapsed under the weight of moral truth. But Ember's true reckoning doesn't stop with the collapse of the facility. It's only the beginning. Inside the core's final moments, she accessed a galaxy-wide data relay system, the same network used by the Shirathi. To upload their research to off-world archives and experimental branches, rather than erase the files, Ember repurposed them. Using her nanotanced mind, she did what no Shirathi ever expected. She compiled, curated, and broadcasted the truth. Every experiment, every test, every scream. Footage of the torture chambers of vivisections, of the dying gasps of children, civilians, ambassadors, entire species long considered extinct, now seen in their final moments. And at the center of every feed, one unchanging image, Ember Vale silent, blood-soaked, and staring into the lens as the transmission begins. She doesn't speak. She doesn't need to. The message is louder than words. In minutes, the entire galactic network is flooded. From the peaceful worlds of the Terran Federation to the trade routes of the Venari, to the war-torn zones of the fractured Creel Dominion, every species receives the signal. No one can deny it. The Shirathi's veil of scientific neutrality is shattered. Their atrocities are exposed not as unfortunate side effects of progress, but as calculated acts of cruelty. Species who once feared retaliation for speaking out now find themselves emboldened. Civilizations, who lost their people in secret, begin to realize they weren't alone. They had just been silenced, until Ember gave their pain a voice. Back aboard the Vex Talon, the Shirathi flagship in orbit over Althorax 4, panic erupts. Coordinator Zulith, who once viewed Ember as a minor data point, now sees her for what she has become, a catalyst. Zulith's advisors plead with him to evacuate or initiate planetary self-destruct to prevent capture. In desperation, he authorizes it, hoping to wipe the facility, Ember, and any trace of Project Valkyrie from existence, but he's too late. Ember, already connected to the facility's systems, intercepts the self-destruct code mid-process. She doesn't just stop it, she repurposes it. Instead of destroying Althorax 4, she redirects the entire energy buildup into the planetary atmospheric network. Using high-powered magnetic resonance, she burns a single image into the skies of every Shirata-controlled world and colony. The clouds part, the stars dim, and across the heavens appears a chilling message in fiery golden script. You killed a girl. What came back wasn't so forgiving. The message is simple. The context is universal. The image is captured and shared 1 billion times over, sparking riots, diplomatic collapses, and the withdrawal of allies once loyal to the Shirathi cause. Their scientists are hunted. Their research facilities are abandoned. The League of Enlightened Systems votes to expel the Shirathi entirely, while the Terran Federation quietly deploys its black ships stealth-capable, dreadnoughts that hadn't left Earth's orbit in decades. But humanity doesn't need to invade. They already won. Ember Vale became the war. And yet, what makes this reckoning powerful isn't just the destruction, it's the purpose behind it. Ember didn't kill to kill. She exposed, liberated, and gave the galaxy a choice. Continue ignoring the screams, or do something about them. And now the entire galactic stage is shifting. But what of Ember? Even with her nanite-infused enhancements, her body is reaching its limits. The cost of Valkyrie Protocol was high. Emotionally, spiritually, she's torn between the girl she was and the construct she became. The war is won, but can she go home? Can she even return to the life she lost? Part 4 ends with Ember standing amidst the ruins of the Shirathai facility alone. The sky above her glows with the words she etched into history. The ground beneath her feet rumbles as Terran transports arrive. She's not triumphant. She's not smiling. She's just done. Her message has been sent. Her reckoning complete. The final part of the story begins in the aftermath of the storm Ember Veil, unleashed across the galaxy. The Shirathai, once seen as untouchable scientific elites, are now pariahs. Their research bases lie in ruin, their government teeters on collapse, and their former allies are severing ties to avoid the fallout. The entire galaxy has turned not, because Earth demanded it, because a girl showed them the truth. And now, as the dust settles, Ember Veil stands alone. She is extracted from Altharix 4 by Terran operatives arriving via stealth landers. No fanfare, no flags, just silence and careful containment. She doesn't resist. In fact, she doesn't speak at all. The girl they recover is alive, but something about her feels haunted. Back aboard a secure Terran medical vessel, Ember is stabilized. Her body, still pulsing with traces of Project Valkyrie, is monitored by Earth's top xenobiologists and cyberneticists. They note with awe and concern that the nanites are slowly winding down, entering a passive state. The transformation is reversible, but not without cost. Physically, Ember could heal. Mentally, emotionally, it's another question. The war she fought wasn't one of nations or navies. It was personal. Her pain had been weaponized, her death made into a protocol. What she'd done, what she had to become, left behind scars deeper than any machine could diagnose. As word spreads across the Terran Federation, Ember becomes a symbol, not a soldier, not a martyr, a reckoning. Journalists, politicians, survivors, and alien leaders all want to meet her, but she refuses all of them. For days, she remains in her chamber, sitting quietly, barely responding to medical staff. Eventually, the president of the Terran Federation visits in person to offer her the Star of Humanity, the highest civilian and military honor Earth can bestow. Ember declines. She isn't bitter, just tired. Her answer is quiet but firm. I didn't come back for medals. I came back so no one else would die screaming. It's not defiance. It's truth. Others offer her leadership roles, prestigious assignments, command of new interstellar peace enforcement fleets. They want to elevate her, shape her legacy. But Ember wants none of it. She doesn't need to be remembered as a hero. She remembers every life lost in that facility, every voice silenced by the Shirathi's pursuit of knowledge without ethics. That's the legacy that matters. In the story's emotional climax, Ember visits Earth's Hall of Memory, a massive monument built into a cliffside overlooking the Atlantic. The hall is a place where names of the lost are etched into stone soldiers, explorers, diplomats, and innocents alike. She walks alone through the corridors, past towering obelisks and holographic flames, representing fallen systems at the center of the hall. She stops at a blank stone reserved for future names. There, she lights a single real candle. Just one, not for herself, but for the girl who died. The Ember who stepped into that diplomatic shuttle, the teenager who thought diplomacy could change minds, the idealist, the peacemaker, the one they tortured to death. This small moment carries more weight than all the destruction she left behind, because it shows that, beneath the weapon, beneath the program, and the vengeance, there is still a persona, human girl who remembers who she used to be. And though she's changed, though she's been reforged by trauma and technology alike, she still has a soul. Above the hall, massive screens display a new resolution passed unanimously by the Galactic Concord. The use of non-consensual biological experimentation is now classified as a crime against all sentient life. Violators will be hunted without warning or mercy. Beneath Another line is inscribed into galactic law. No scream will go unanswered again. Ember's actions, triggered by a single unjust death, have now reshaped interstellar ethics, politics, and alliances. She brought change. The final scene shows Ember walking away from the monument as the sun rises over Earth. She's not wearing armor. There are no guards. No one follows. She's finally free. But the nanites in her bloodstream still hum faintly, dormant but never truly gone. The Valkyrie protocol waits, quiet, patient, eternal, not to be used again lightly, but to be feared. Should another atrocity awaken it? As Ember disappears into the morning light, final voiceover echoes not hers, but from the galaxy-wide broadcast months earlier, they killed a girl.